Judges chapter 15. But it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid. And he said,
I will go into my wife into the chamber.
But her father would not suffer him to go in. And her father said,
I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her.
And Samson said concerning them,
Now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure.
And Samson went and caught 300 foxes, and took firebrands, and turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between two tails. And when he had set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines, and burnt up both the shocks and also the standing corn, with the vineyards and olives. Then the Philistines said,
Who hath done this?
And they answered,
Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite, because he had taken his wife and given her to his companion.
And the Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. And Samson said unto them,
Though ye have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I will cease.
And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter, and he went down and dwelt in the top of the rock Etam. Then the Philistines went up and pitched in Judah, and spread themselves in Lehi. And the men of Judah said,
Why are ye come up against us?
And they answered,
To bind Samson are we come up, to do to him as he hath done to us.
Then 3,000 men of Judah went to the top of the rock Etam, and said to Samson,
Knowest thou not that the Philistines are rulers over us? What is this that thou hast done unto us?
And he said unto them,
As they did unto me, so have I done unto them.
And they said unto him,
We are come down to bind thee, that we may deliver thee into the hand of the Philistines.
And Samson said unto them,
Swear unto me that ye will not fall upon me yourselves.
And they spake unto him, saying,
No, but we will bind thee fast, and deliver thee into their hand, but surely we will not kill thee.
And they bound him with 2 new cords, and brought him up from the rock. And when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire, and his bands loosed from off his hands. And he found a new jawbone of an ass, and put forth his hand, and took it, and slew 1,000 men therewith. And Samson said,
With the jawbone of an ass, heaps upon heaps, with the jaw of an ass have I slain 1,000 men.
And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking, that he cast away the jawbone out of his hand, and called the place Ramoth-Lehi. And he was sore athirst, and called on the Lord, and said,
Thou hast given this great deliverance into the hand of thy servant, and now shall I die for thirst, and fall into the hand of the uncircumcised?
But God clave an hollow place that was in the jaw, and there came water thereout. And when he had drunk, his spirit came again, and he revived, wherefore he called the name thereof Enhakkore, which is in Lehi unto this day. And he judged Israel in the days of the Philistines 20 years.
And so it came to pass within a while after, in the time of wheat harvest, that Samson visited his wife with a kid, and he said, I'll go into my wife into the chamber, but her father would not suffer him to go in. Her father said, I verily thought that thou hadst utterly hated her. Therefore I gave her to thy companion. Is not her younger sister fairer than she? Take her, I pray thee, instead of her. Well, Samson didn't like this, of course. Notice what he does. Samson said concerning them, Now shall I be more blameless than the Philistines, though I do them a displeasure. And Samson went, caught 300 foxes, took firebrands, turned tail to tail, and put a firebrand in the midst between 2 tails. What he really did was he tied 2 foxes together by the tails, and then put on the end of that a firebrand. These two foxes would really take out, and they would scatter that firebrand everywhere. And what happened? When he'd set the brands on fire, he let them go into the standing corn of the Philistines and burn up both the shocks and the standing corn with the vineyards and olives. Then the Philistines said, "Who hath done this?" They answered, "Samson, the son-in-law of the Timnite," because he had taken his wife and given her to her companion. The Philistines came up and burnt her and her father with fire. And Samson said unto them, "Though ye have done this, yet will I be avenged of you, and after that I'll cease." And he smote them hip and thigh with a great slaughter. And notice why he did it. This is personal. This hasn't anything to do with him being the judge of Israel, delivering them. He's just avenging himself. And notice in verse 11, at the end of the verse, what he says, "As they did unto me, so have I done unto them." That is his philosophy. He just avenged himself personally. And we're told now he's really got the Philistines riled up, and they're looking for him. In verse 14, when he came unto Lehi, the Philistines shouted against him, and the Spirit of the Lord came mightily upon him, and the cords that were upon his arms became as flax that was burnt with fire. He let his own brethren bind him, by the way, to protect his own people. And then he just broke that as if it were nothing. We're told in verse 15, he found a new jawbone of an ass and put forth his hand and took it, and he slew 1,000 men therewith. Now again, you see the strength of this man. It's not his own strength. He could never have done it in his own power, of course. But again, he's beginning to deliver Israel. And if he'd only kept that before him, but he's not keeping it before him,